In this video, we will be doing a bouquet preservation in Art & Glow's resin in this hexagon mold. Before making this video, I have preserved all of these flowers in a tub of silica gel very carefully for a little over 2 weeks. When you are ready to start, go ahead and clean your mold, just in case, since there's going to be a lot of negative space, you don't want a lot of dust and particles in there. Before pouring my first layer, I like to have an idea of what my background is going to look like first. I personally think that the ferns make a perfect backdrop to a beautiful bouquet of flowers. Once you lay down that backdrop, cover it with another layer of resin just to keep it in place and let it cure for 24 hours. Now is when you can get really creative. Start laying out all of your flowers to make them kind of nestled together. Sometimes your plan of action might change along the way depending on how each one of your flowers lay. Don't feel like you need to fill up all the negative space. It looks very pretty when you can view it from the front, back, and from the sides. Once your arrangement is really starting to come together, you can prepare your next layer of resin. When pouring this layer, make sure you do it very slowly and carefully, also making sure to get in between all of the flower petals and underneath the flowers. Always check for bubbles too. To get those bubbles out without scorching your flowers, really utilize your heat gun. Your torch will also, of course, come in handy, but make sure to not burn your flower petals. If you pile up your flowers a little too high like I did, after it's fully cured, you can go back in with the Dremel and drill those down. If you do have to take a Dremel to the top of your project, just make sure you clean off all the dust off the top before you pour your final layer. Once you pour that final layer and let it cure for at least 24 hours, you finally get to take your bouquet out of the mold. I would say with this project, I probably did about 7 layers of resin because you really don't want to pour anything too much more than a 1/4 inch thick. Now you'll want to check to see if you have to sand anything down at this point. If you don't, you can go ahead and tape up the bottom, making sure to get that tape really straight against those edges. And now it's time for your final flood pour. Make sure you have a level surface area because resin is self-leveling. If anything is tilted, your resin will be tilted too. Make sure to torch out any of those final bubbles and also make sure to get the sides of your project. This time, you'll want to cover and let it set for at least 72 hours. You really want to be very careful on that final coat because until then, it could still scratch until it's fully cured. And there you have it, your very own preserved flower bouquet made by you.